we're back with another episode. And now, coming to the main stage, your favorite podcast host, Fleming and Fowler. Bum bum ba-dum 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 bum ba-dum ba-dum bum. Y'all ready for this?
I don't think the audience is ready.
Welcome back to your favorite podcast. Another new episode, Face Off with Fleming and Fowler. I'm Fowler.
I'm Fleming. That was an intro, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
That was an intro. Wow.
You said do the intro, so you know what I did?
The intro.
Introduced us.
I love that for you. How was your week this past week?
It was fine. Actually, it was good.
That's a lie.
It was fine. One of my friends came in from Austin, Lauren. We had dinner.
Hey, Lauren. Do I know Lauren?
I don't know if you've ever met Lauren. You should. She's great. She is.
I still haven't even met your mother.
You don't need to meet her.
I do.
I keep her locked up.
Shame.
Lauren is quite literally the funniest person I've ever met in my entire life.
I love that.
A storyteller. You know,
Really?
the people who just tell a good story?
Yeah.
Man, she is like chef's kiss.
Yeah. Is she the life of the party of y'all group?
Oh, hell yeah. Love her. So she's great. Had dinner with her. Went out for drinks, saw my friend Katie.
Cool beans.
That was it. Keeping it low key this tail end of summer. It's too hot to not keep it low key.
This week was probably one of the hottest weeks in Texas or San Antonio specifically.
We hit record high, and I feel like
did.
every year they're like record high.
This one was
Bitch,
really
it was
bad.
109 outside.
Yeah, it was legit. It was very, very hot, and I was like, "Is this Arizona?
That's what it's feeling like.
What's this? Is this Nevada? What's
We
going on?"
went to the Pearl because you can just kind of sit out there and
How
drink.
the hell would you do that?
Okay, so it was nighttime and it had just rained, so it's kind of cooling off. But it was like 10
ma'am.
o'clock. We're outside drinking some wine, and there's this kid just hysterically crying. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly how I feel, sir. It's too late and too hot to be out.
You're drinking wine while it's over 100 degrees in San Antonio. You're crazy.
It was white. It was chilled. It's chilled wine.
Yeah, but alcohol still makes you hot.
Yeah, it does.
I cannot.
I drank water eventually. You know what? That's so funny you say that because all my patients last week were ETOH.
Withdrawal.
Withdrawal. It's too fucking hot. Y'all are still drinking and
Yeah.
getting dehydrated and falling and hitting your heads. All
Just
right.
please don't do that.
Drink some water.
Yeah, it's too hot to be an alcoholic right now. It's way too hot to be anything.
Yeah, and I just bless their hearts, dude. I don't know what it's like to be an alcoholic.
No,
right?
you
And I
don't,
feel
'cause
like
you're not one.
I am not one, and I think there is a stigma about being an alcoholic. My thing is in the hospital, I'm like, hey, listen, you don't have to give me the spiel. You don't have to
We
give
don't
me the
care.
story. I don't give a shit. I just want to make sure you can walk. But they're also apologetic and just like, they did the thing. Well, what happened was, I'm like,
They try to explain their addiction.
listen, hey,
We don't care enough about it.
I have no dog in this fight, sir.
No, here's the thing. In healthcare, we're judging, but we're not judging at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, we'll do a chart review and be like, wow, they drink a pint of whiskey a day? That's a lot.
What nicest
then-
man you've ever met.
Exactly. As soon as you go in there, you're just like, hey, man, life is shit. Okay, we understand.
It's rough out here.
We're not judging you.
We all cope.
You know? And they're just like, I went to rehab and it worked, and then I just relapsed. Hey, I'm not here for all that.
Hey, listen.
You can vent, but I'm not here to judge you. I judge you during my chart review, but not right now.
Yeah, we're just here to have a good time.
That's it. You're gonna be wobbly today. Tomorrow you're gonna be perfectly fine, and I'm gonna discharge you from my service, and we'll never have to speak about this again.
Amen.
So that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, so that's how my week is going. Hospital's been fine. A lot of people with cancer, which I don't like because that shit's sad. Cancer sucks.
Yeah,
So,
it really
and it's
does.
like half of my patients have horrible metastatic cancer that they've been living with, and the other half just got diagnosed with horrible metastatic cancer, and I'm like, ugh.
Have you ever had to walk in a room? Because I've been here before, where I've had to walk in a room right after the doctors just told someone that they have cancer. That is the worst feeling ever.
I'll raise you
Ooh.
when you're in the middle of a treatment and the doctor walks in and is like, oh, we did get the results back. You do have cancer.
Which is why I don't let doctors interrupt me.
I'm like, did you have to do? I'm like mid transfer. I'm like, did
Exactly.
you have to do that right now?
But we'll come back and discuss.
Yeah, but you know what? I just wanted to let you know that way you were on the same page. We'll come
Exactly.
back. No, motherfucker, their life is upended. Please stay. And cherry on top is when you're about to go in the room and the nurse is like, oh, by the way, he's going to complain about a lot of pain. We did get the scans back. It's metastasized to the bone really bad, but he doesn't know yet. Doesn't know he has cancer, so don't bring it up. Don't mention it. We got to let the doctor tell him. I said, I don't want to go in there now.
So remember when we talked about on the podcast a few episodes ago about how if you don't lie to your patients, you don't really truly work in healthcare. And that's the perfect example. Like, we know so much about y'all's history and medical stuff. Shit. We can't say anything because that's not in our scope of practice to give a diagnosis. So we can see, you know, mets to your bones or to your brain or whatever. We can see something's positive for a fracture. Like, you know, I definitely have been there before early on in my career where I'm just like, well, yeah, because, you know, you have the spinal fracture. My back is broken. My bad. I'm sorry.
When you're like, you know, like typically when strokes happen like this, they're like, I had a stroke. And you're like, who didn't tell you had a stroke?
Exactly. And because we see it and we assume that the doctors have already spoken to you about it, but they haven't. And because, again, we know how to read scans and all that kind of stuff because we went to school for it. We know what's in your history and what your results are. Have you gotten the results back from my biopsy? No. And we have.
And so now I always have to be like, well, what did the doctor say about this? What do you know about why you're here? Why are you here? Tell me.
What have you heard? What have you heard?
What do you know?
Exactly. Let me get your nurse.
Or you're halfway through an eval and they're like, yeah, well, this just really hurts. And you know, that fall. And I was like, the fall?
What fall did you have?
You had a fall? That's weird. Did you tell them to do? They took me for an X-ray. I'm like, ah, shit. Hold on.
What did they actually X-ray?
Freaking
ask the nurse. Are they cleared to get up with therapy?
Hey, has anyone looked at their arm? Looks pretty fucked up.
Yeah. So we know, unfortunately, a lot about your history and a lot about your current status, but we just can't say anything. So, which is why most healthcare workers, we're liars, but we do it for the greater good. You know.
And you know what's really bad too? I'll be done after this, but you read all the chart and all the doctors are like, poor prognosis, need to get palliative, maybe comfort measured, hospice. And you go and they're like, I'd love to do therapy. I want to get better. Da, 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 da. And no one's told them anything. And I'm like, there.
Family meeting at 2:00.
Yeah. I'm like, they're like, yeah, my family's coming in this afternoon. We're all going to talk. I'm like, oof, okay.
Yeah, I'm supposed to have a meeting with case management and the doctor today. I'm not sure what it's about.
I'm like, I know.
It's about you meeting Jesus very soon.
You want to brush your teeth?
Much sooner than you expect. Y'all, what we're saying is our jobs suck.
Our jobs suck.
What we're saying. And we're laughing to keep from crying. Okay, we're not picking at anybody, but our jobs as healthcare workers, they just suck. They just do.
And it's not funny, but
no,
everyone who works in the hospital has to do this because you're surrounded by depressing shit all day. And so you'll be in a room, like for us especially, we'll be in a room working with a patient. We are so positive and upbeat and like involved. And then we walk out and you'll start talking to the nurse. You're like, oh yeah, I'm not going to fucking make it. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like a patient. I had a patient a couple weeks ago. And they were talking about, well, yeah, you know, they said that my cancer is really bad and there's really nothing they can do for the medication. And I was just like, well, you know what? We're going to do what we can while you're here.
Take every day, one day at a time.
One day at a time. Here's the thing. You are in control. You tell me yes or no, and I listen. And you walk out of that room, you're just like, I fucking hate this shit. Why do I do this?
You're like, ooh, they look like death.
Yeah. I had a patient who was the other day, 90 pounds, soaking wet. His cancer had not necessarily metastasized, but it was already just there, but it was just the progression.
Lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, the progression was just really, really bad, and they were talking about how he's a nice but mean patient, and I'm just like, y'all, I think you have to understand, again, and put yourself back in the patient's shoes. You know, when you are actively dying and you either know it or don't, like your body is going through a lot of things. It's trying to repair itself also while, you know, something is literally trying to tear it down. And it's just very difficult for patients to process that when you got so many people coming in and out of your room, from doctors to case managers to therapy, radiology, all these different people that are coming in. It can be very frustrating because you're also very exhausted because your body is trying to fight, but something else is taking over your body trying to kill it, you know. So it's just it's a constant battle, unfortunately. But
thank God for rehab services, am I right? We make every day count.
Even when you're in pain and you don't want to do it.
I did have a patient this week who was like, you know, like it's me and Jessica have been working with him.
Yeah.
And we're just, I don't know, the best therapist you could possibly ask for in my hospital.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put that on you.
Okay.
And he was like, I just, you know, you guys don't understand how much I look forward to therapy every day. It's my favorite time of the day.
That's awesome.
I was like, oh my God, it's my favorite time. I mean, putting cups in his room. We're chilling, listening to music. I'm like, little do you know, this is my favorite time of the day.
Very true.
I scoot him over on the bed so I can have a little spot.
I love that. It's always the patients who are, well, I won't say doing bad. There was a patient, like, he was completely contracted, which means his muscles were super stiff and he wasn't able to move. He was like, therapy, yes. And
you're
I'm
like,
just looking like,
ain't shit I
can do for you.
And
before we walked in, we were just like, eval discharge, we already know. And then you walk in and you're just like, unfortunately, there's no rehab potential. Like, I don't tell the patient that. we'll see you
You
later.
lie to him.
Again, we are liars. We have no choice.
I'm like,
but
we'll
to
check
be.
in. I'm not checking back in. You're
No.
at baseline.
We'll talk to your nurse.
Yeah.
We'll speak. Anything else you need?
Don't call us.
We'll call you. That's literally what happens. It's oh god, this profession sucks. But anyway.
How was your week?
My week was pretty okay. I had mostly really good patients this week, which is very surprising. Just because sometimes there's always one little booger in the bunch, but there wasn't. I have a new student that started. She's doing well so far, and so I look forward to continuing to work with her. I'll tell you this though, this is going to kind of piggyback into the rehab corner. What I'm throwing in the rehab corner is teaching hospitals.
Oof.
Okay.
Yeah.
I personally and professionally hate teaching hospitals. Now, I understand that I was once a student, and so I had to be taught. So interns and students do not bother me, right? It's just the whole ecosystem of a teaching hospital that bothers me, because you have to go through so many extra steps just in order to get it resolved. And instead of going straight to the attending, you have to then go to the residents and all this BS, and it's so annoying. And I think COVID really did a number on some of these kids. I think it should be a requirement for every medical school or every medical profession. In order for you to go in a medical profession, you should have to be a CNA for at least 1 year.
I wholeheartedly agree.
These men and women have no clue how to talk to patients. And I, for one, was a nursing tech when I was in undergrad and in grad school. And so I worked on postpartum labor and delivery for 4.5 years. And it was one of the best jobs that I ever had, because it gave me an opportunity, number one, to get used to seeing a bunch of people every single day, different people changing in and out, because, most moms only stayed in the hospital 2-3 days, 4 or 5 is something, some kind of complication. But I had the bare knowledge of just being able to navigate through conversation with people. These new medical doctors have no clue how to talk to people. Most of them have never even had a job before. They have no clue. They literally talk about the patient, and the patient's standing right there as if the patient can't hear them. You go and ask them a question. They have no clue how to answer your question. They're just like,
Here's my newest pet peeve, because we're getting residents at the hospital. While I do appreciate that you are including ADLs in your H&P. Okay. I'm seeing the word ADLs. I'm seeing independent with ADLs, needs assist with ADLs.
Activities of daily living is
Activities
what ADLs
of daily,
mean.
bathing, dressing, toileting, the shit you do every day. Pertains to my job, which I appreciate. You put in your note that they're bedbound or dependent with all of their ADLs. Okay. You then put in therapy orders. So I'm already annoyed, because you just told me that they couldn't do anything and that you want me to fix it.
And most of the time, they're not bedbound.
And then most of the time, they're not bedbound. When I go in there, they're like, oh, well, I was walking last week, but I've been really sick this week, so I haven't gotten out of the bed. That's not bedbound.
Or they're like, well, they're wheelchair bound. Well, then why do they need physical therapy? Well, because, and you go to the patient. So do you walk? Yeah, I walk. I just use the wheelchair when I'm going out to HEB. What the?
They'll be like, the note says bedbound, and you ask the patient, well, they're like, well, I don't walk very much, but I just get to my wheelchair, and then I'll wheel it around, and I get to the toilet and the bath. I'm like, so you're not bedbound.
You're not bedbound.
You're not even fucking wheelchair bound.
No.
So I'm just like, nothing makes sense, because either it's what you're hearing something from the patient and you're putting that in your note, but you want therapy, so that contradicts it. So I'm just like, either spend more time with the patient or don't put it in the fucking note, so then I don't read it and start getting frustrated. Or the new fun thing that I don't know if this is like some DSM shit, I don't know if it's a Medicare coding thing, but the amount of times I've seen functional quadriplegia in the last like 9 months.
They're not a quad if they're functional.
When did we start using this?
I don't know.
Also, like, is it just say debility, like gross weakness? When I see quad, I'm thinking everyone has a freaking
spinal cord injury.
Thank you.
That's what you're thinking of when you say quad.
I'm thinking functional quad. That's wild.
Yeah, and
then I go in, moving all extremities. Just weak because they've been sick. Progressive weakness.
Like, say para, because it's not a fucking quad. Like,
and that has really been grinding my gears, America.
Yeah. I just, I've had a few interactions, because at this teaching hospital, unfortunately, they switch residents like every 10 to 12 weeks, something like that.
That's quick.
Well, no, it may be longer than that. I don't know. It just feels like forever, because they're so fucking annoying. But anyway, it's just really annoying because they're so stupid. And I know, here again, I was once a student. I was once stupid, but I didn't act like that. Like, I at least was able to fake it. Like, I always tell people,
common sense.
If you talk with a certain level of confidence, I can convince you that the sky is red. It's not red, but if I talk with confidence, you'll believe it. These children, no one teaches them how to actually interact with patients. And that's the problem. So then I asked the question one time. I was like, because there are certain rules and regulations that at a previous hospital, the hospital that you work at, that we were able to do that we can't do at this particular
It's the
hospital.
Wild West over there.
Exactly. And so there were no limits at the previous hospital, and at this hospital now, everything is, we have to check with our attendings first before we do this, and that. And I'm just like, just fucking do what you can do so I can do my fucking job. God damn. So then when you finally get to them, I'm asking a question like, hey, are y'all going to take the swan out of this patient? And they're just like looking at me like stupid. And I'm like, hello, that was not a rhetorical question. I'm asking you a yes or no question. Are you taking out the goddamn swan or not? Mm-hmm. And then we're gonna take it out probably later, closer to 5 p.m. Bitch, I go home way earlier than that.
It's now whatever. Or just let me fucking get him up with it in, because it's
First
fine.
of all, if I ask you, are you taking it out? That means take it out right now. That's literally what it means. It doesn't mean wait. It doesn't mean go check with your. That means I want it out now so I can do my goddamn job. That's it. And they be sitting there. What should we call? Should we call? Okay.
Do you need it? Yes or no? Then if you don't, take it out.
I just hate people. I really do hate people. And I really hate teaching hospitals. So that's what I'm throwing in the rehab corner. What are you throwing in the rehab corner?
Just working in general.
I would agree.
Shouldn't be forced to do it. I was telling Monty off air that I had a patient today, and I know we talk about our job a lot and we complain about it, and there's a bunch of different parts, but I think in the hospital sense, one of the biggest parts of our job is just freaking discharge wreck. The people, everyone just wants to know, where the fuck is this person going when we're done with them?
Yeah.
We got to figure out how to get them out. As soon as you get into a hospital, everyone is trying to figure out how to get you the fuck out of there.
That's very true.
So I went to see this patient, and literally every note you read is like, this guy's got to go to rehab. So weak. Gotta go. So multiple fall. La 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 la. I'm like, all right, whatever. I walk into the room. The first thing this man says, he looks at me and he goes, don't even say the word rehab. Don't mention rehab. I don't want to hear that word come out of your mouth. I'm not going. I went before. It's stupid. I've gone before. Just the spiel. And I was like, all right.
Can I just introduce myself?
Yeah. When I tell you, I saw my soul leaving my body, because I'm like, I'm literally going to sit this man up, put him right back. Because at that point, what are you going to do? He just told you he doesn't want to fucking go to rehab. That's my whole job.
Well, that's like you walk into the patient's room and then they're just like, I'm not getting out of this bed, so I don't care what you're here for. It's like, well, let's try this again. Let me walk out, walk back in. Hi, good morning. Are you Mr. Johnson? All right. Well, let me explain to you why I'm here. Like, let's start there.
I was like, that's fair, man. Once you have a bad rehab experience, it kind of really ruins it for everybody else.
It does, and then you have to do double work to try to win them over.
So if everyone could do their job, I appreciate it. But all that to say, I was I was still attentive and provided excellent patient care, but I was not on my sales pitch bullshit trying to get this man to understand why he needed rehab, because there's you can just see it in there. I'm like, how
was
you
it close to Friday?
It was today. So
oh yeah, exactly.
End of the week. Yeah,
we're not going to argue with you on Friday.
I'm not arguing with you. I'll argue Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe a Thursday. That's all you got from me.
Definitely
and this was neither of those days. And so we go do the whole thing, and I'm just like letting him talk, and we're just doing all the shit, getting back in bed. And he's like, I can just tell that you really love your job.
I fucking hate when patients say
the way that you came in here and did it. I was like, I really think it's just because I shut the fuck up and let you talk at me for 30 minutes and didn't try to convince you that you need help from other people. But yeah.
It's always when you're ready to quit your jobs that patients say, wow, you're amazing at your job. You really look like you love it. He's like,
people come in here all day long, and some of them are just here for the money. And I was like, who the fuck is here for the money? So are we. And
I mean, there's no real money, but we're here to be able to get a paycheck so we can pay our bills.
I was just like, what is it about me that makes you think I like this job? Specifically in this moment.
Seriously. It's because you wear, like, they can't see your real face because you wear a mask. That's probably why.
Probably.
Yeah. It's really weird. I'll tell you who else is wearing a mask. Politicians.
Ooh.
This is now your favorite political segment. We're about to get real political. Yeah. They have to wear a mask in order to, gain your trust and whatnot. Much like therapists. Anyway, so I don't know if you guys have been watching. I hope you guys have been paying attention to both the Republican National Convention as well as the Democratic National Convention. Did you watch any pieces of it?
I'm just excited that everyone is so invested,
Yeah.
I just love that people are out there watching things, getting involved, and that's all I could ask for.
Which means she didn't watch it. So that's literally what that means. So I did watch pieces of the RNC, but I can only take them for so much. Because you need to know what both sides are saying. I think it's very important to listen to both sides and know what both sides are saying, so that way there's no misinformation. You're getting it straight from the horse's mouth. I, however, did pay more attention to the DNC because it was much more, well, it was just much more entertaining. They had Lil Jon there, and, they just had, a very different vibe, okay, than the RNC.
It was giving Rock the Vote.
It was definitely giving Rock the Vote, which I love. You know, they.
I'm not saying it's a bad.
No. They just had our favorite Fitz and Olivia Pope. You know,
it was the TikTok of conventions.
Absolutely.
It was very much giving pop culture, which I appreciate.
But you know what it gave though, also too. I think from the Democratic National Convention, it really gave maturity, and I think I go back to the John McCain versus Obama era, when they were both going, you know, head to head for the nominations and everything, or just president, and how even in certain sessions or certain instances where John McCain differed or disagreed with Obama, he was still very respectful. And even though Obama disagreed with McCain, he was very respectful. And I remember even John McCain, this one lady said, "Oh, well, he's a terrorist and he's a Muslim and blah, blah, blah." And literally John McCain snatched the mic out of her hand and was like, "No, ma'am, that is not true. That man is a family man. We both have the same." We both have the same, you know, cause as far as helping the American people. We have two different routes of getting there, and
that's what politics should be.
It was the maturity for me, and I felt like at the DNC, it was very much so giving maturity with the people that they brought out. You know, from Elizabeth Warren to the Obamas to, you know, Kerry Washington and Tim Walz and just all these other amazing people that were just there. You know, Jasmine Crockett, she actually spoke, and I just felt like that convention really made me feel like the America that we used to have, not making America great again because it was never great, but just the level
for some people,
the certain level of maturity in politics was back. I did feel like they focused way too much on Trump, and that they should have been talking more so policy versus bashing Trump. And I get it; it's a big rally. You're trying to get people on board and whatnot. You bring your call. It's like a call and response type of situation. So I definitely do understand that. I did see that there were some talkings on social media about the lack of Palestinian representation, and not because the Palestinians were not wanting to be represented, but that the DNC chose not to have them there. And I feel like, or allegedly, I just feel like with everything that's going on with the Palestinian genocide, the Congolese genocide, and the Sudanese genocide that's happening right now, I feel like we as the American people have to understand that some things will always be. Doesn't make them right. Doesn't make them right, but some things will always be right. And I feel like for the longest time, at least since the 1940s or 50s, Israel has always been an ally to the United States. I
think it became a place in 1940 something.
Right.
So
but I don't know when this, you know, this allyship came between the United States and whatnot.
I think they only got Israel because of a U.S. push.
I would have to agree with that.
I'm thinking it had like
maybe in the 1940s. Yeah. So I just feel like for the longest time, at least since I've been aware politically, as an adult, because in school I didn't care, but as an adult, you know, I feel like Israel has always been an ally to the United States, and the United States has always been an ally to Israel because of the whole Middle East kind of situation, and they're pretty much being the eyes and ears of the Middle East for the United States, right? But I also feel like that was going to be in place when Bush was in office, Daddy Bush, son Bush, Clinton, Reagan, Obama, Trump, Biden, and now with Harris. And I just feel like there are some things that we have to understand as the American people that were already put in place before we got here. Again, doesn't make it right, but that's what it is. I always attribute it to, you know how if a person owned an apartment complex, right? And they had this elderly lady named Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson was in there. Her rent is always going to be $500. It's never going to be more than that. And when they sell the building, with, this is the only stipulation. In order for me to sell this building, you cannot raise Miss Johnson's rent or else the deal is off, right? That's where we are in the United States. Again, doesn't make it right. All I'm saying is that I think we as the American people need to understand that unfortunately, Israel is always going to be a part of the conversation when it comes to the United States providing aid and providing weapons and all that other kind of stuff, which is going to aid, unfortunately, the United States in participating in genocide. It's not the first time the United States has done that. They still doing it, you know, allegedly. I just say that for protection of bias. But it's going to always be that way, unfortunately. And I think the fact that some voters are saying this is the only issue that I care about, as opposed to everything else that is potentially on the line for the American people, I think it's very detrimental to themselves. Because then some people are saying, well, I'm not going to vote because of her, you know, Kamala's stance on Palestine, and I feel like she should be doing more. And I'm like, do y'all realize how Congress works? Like, Kamala Harris is the vice president of the United States. She's not the president. So there is a person that's in front of her, and her placeholder is to activate in the event, if and when, you know, Joe Biden, who's commander in chief, actually, who would have thought, you know, becomes incapacitated or is not unable to fulfill his duty as president of the United States. She can't jump over Joe Biden's head and then do whatever shit the fuck she wants to do. No vice president can do that. And no matter who's going to be the candidate or the nominee, they were going to have to still deal with the very real idea of the fact that the United States will always, unfortunately, have to protect and have to be in this allyship with Israel, even if they agree. Like, two things can be true at the same time. You can what's the word?
Disagree.
Not disagree. It's a D word though. You can
dick.
No, no. You can be against genocide or
denounce.
Thank you. You can denounce genocide, but you can also too say, listen, we are here and these are the treaties, allyships that we have. I cannot deviate from that because it's going to put the United States in more danger than anything else. Because I think a lot of us don't really understand, unfortunately, whatever treaties and things that have happened before we were even born, before some of our parents were even born. So I think it's irresponsible for some people to only solely base their vote on one subject matter. I mean, your vote is your vote to give, whatever. I don't care about that. But I'm just saying, stop giving out misinformation and trying to be divisive when it comes to voting. Because the reality is, we only have two fucking candidates.
It's true.
Like, we only have two candidates, y'all. Like, I don't care about any. Here's the thing. All the other subject matters are important. They are important. The biggest issue here is who is more capable of handling these important topics. Okay? One side is trying to take away your rights as an American citizen. And if you don't have rights as an American citizen, you can't help the people in Palestine.
Can't help other people.
You can't help Palestine. You can't help Congo. You can't help Sudan. You can't even help your goddamn self. So what I'm saying is, don't take your foot off the neck of the Democratic Party or both parties to be involved with trying to dismantle a lot of the genocide that's going on. But also, too, let's not be dumb and let's not just solely base our vote on one particular subject when there's so many other different things that are happening that actually do affect you in this here country.
Yep.
Like, that's the thing for me. That's my rant. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Amen, sister.
Did you watch anything from the DNC other than a Lil Jon performance?
I did watch Miss Pope and Fitz strut up on the stage. Because what I'm not going to miss is a fucking Scandal cameo.
First of all, I think Shonda Rhimes should have been able to speak at the DNC. I really do.
I think she's coordinated this whole... It's so coded. It's so Shonda Rhimes coded. Mm-hmm. It's also... If that had been a scene, like, you could have... This could have been the next season of Scandal.
Absolutely.
They could have recorded this and I would have believed it.
Absolutely.
It looked so good. It looked so good.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. Also, here's my issue with something creeps me out about large groups of people.
Why? You're always outside. What are you talking about?
No. Like, even like mega churches freak me out.
Really?
Large groups of people like that, who are like a spirited group, but it's not like a concert or something. For some reason, it gives me like weird vibes and I don't like it.
Does it make you feel like they're a cult or something?
Yes.
Oh. I mean, one could say that about a Beyonce concert.
I know, but different.
Because it's Beyonce.
Yeah.
Of course.
Vibes are just different.
Of course.
When there's like performing going on consistently.
There are performers going on.
No, I know, but it's like intermittent. There's something, and I know some people love the feeling of like a one person igniting a large group of people, all of these people coming together, and I think it can be beautiful, but it freaks me the fuck out.
What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. It just gives me like a creepy heebie-jeebie feeling.
You think it's going to be like the Church of David or Jonestown or something where they're all drinking Kool-Aid?
Yeah. It like makes me, it's like purgy. I don't know. I just don't fucking like it.
Real? Wow, I don't see that, but okay.
I know. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
I won't yuck your yum, you know. Yeah.
But anyway, that's what I watched.
Well, I saw a bunch of different wonderful things. Jasmine Crockett, to me, had an amazing speech. Michelle was like, bitch, we ain't going high no more. Fuck that shit. We going to hell.
I did see Oprah. Why does she look photoshopped?
I'm sick of Oprah.
What is that?
Unless you want to sponsor this podcast.
Oprah. She looks insane. Not a bad insane or good insane, but her face literally looks like AI.
You know what I think it is? Well, not that, but I don't know. I used to love Oprah, right? And I just feel like
chunky Oprah.
No. It has nothing to do with her weight. I
love the chunky Oprah.
No, to me it didn't matter, because she was the same whether she was heavier set or not. But I just feel like now Oprah is like trying to be the cool cousin coming to all the cookouts. Like, she hasn't been around the family for years, and then now that she's like, you know, divorced or whatever, or lost her job or something,
her white husband,
exactly, and now she's trying to just relate back to the blacks, and it's just like,
you're like,
I don't
no,
know.
You weren't cool when you were fucking vacationing in the Maldives.
I don't know. It's just something about her. Like, she's just trying too hard, and like, I tried to watch part of her speech, and then I was just unimpressed.
It's because not that she had to sees where we're headed, and she's like, I gotta get on the train.
Well, I don't. Here's the thing. Oprah has a big power of influence. I do believe that. But I feel like her level of influence is not as big as it used to be, or as she thinks it is.
There were not not to be like influencers, but there were not so many micro influencers the way there was when Oprah was big.
Yes. Oprah had a huge influence.
Oprah was the book list. Oprah was the Christmas list. Oprah was if you needed to know what something was going to be popular, it was Oprah.
Right. And that influence is not there
Oprah
anymore.
was interviewing all the big celebrities. Oprah had all the big stories, and now it's not.
Even political figures. It's like, I remember when Obama was first running for president, and he was still a senator, and when he went on her show, to me, I felt like that was a turning point where, you know, white American women were able to see this black man, not as a black man, but just strictly as a politician. Even when Chris Christie, before he, you know, fucked it up with that whole, you know, rail thing or whatever in Jersey, anyway, allegedly, he went on her show, and I feel like a lot of political figures have been able to go on there and kind of have a voice, because she was kind of like the it person for interviews and whatnot.
She was one of the black people who was cross race.
Yeah, like, cross-racial, yeah.
Cross-racial and racial?
Yeah, cross-racial.
That makes sense.
That's a real word.
We're going with it.
It's a real word.
And she was very popular with white America. She was a household name, but she still had like
she had influence.
She had influence, and she had like foothold in the black community.
Absolutely.
Still. Like, she was still a part of the black community, which is so hard to do.
Yeah, very much so.
But I just think she did it for like no one can stand the test of time like that. Just the way that technology worked and social media worked and everything. Right. It was never going to translate. Also, she's older now. Like, it's
so she's not. Her voice is not. Her voice still affects, I think, the people who grew up with her, her same age bracket. But kids now, those of us who grew up listening to her, we still value her opinion to a degree, but we're not going to make decisions based off of her opinion, because some opinions that she has are out of touch. Like, you know, even when it came to like Whoopi Goldberg saying that young people don't want to work. And it's like, no, it's not that young people don't want to work. Young people don't want to work for nothing. And also, too, Whoopi Goldberg has been out of touch for a very long time. Yeah. You've been in an industry where you've been able to have a lucrative career, or what appears to be, because I won't count your wallet or your money, but what appears to be a very lucrative career, who can probably do one movie a year and still be able to pay your bills, whereas everybody else has to clock in at a 9 to 5. You haven't had to clock in at a 9 to 5 for a very long time, so your opinion about what you're very out of touch. And also, too, it's very derogatory for you to insinuate that people don't want to work. No, we don't want to work for nothing, motherfucker. That's the difference. So
I do think the smartest thing DNC did was have these people like Oprah, the Obamas, speaking, but then all of the influencers that they had there. Did you see all them?
I'm sick of it.
Okay, agreed. But so smart to have very specific and selected ones there.
I like the lawyer influencers
reporting from the back, and it wasn't like, Hawk to a girl and some shit.
Exactly.
But it's like these people who are also pinnacles in their community, and I was like, oh, this is a what are they? Grassroots.
Grassroots, yeah.
This is a grassroots campaign they got going.
I think also too. I think what was very touching to me was a couple of things. Number one, Tim Walz and his family is just so beautiful. I just felt like, because when you look at the other side, when you look at Trump specifically, his family is not a unit. Like, to me, they are all fractured but greedy people who are just out for themselves. They don't look like an actual unit. He does the way you can see the way he treats Melania or the way that she treats him. There's no chemistry there. They don't even look like they like each other. They
don't look like Fitz and Olivia, that's for sure.
Very true. But also too, even if you look at, Doug and the way he supports Kamala, and you look at Tim Walz and his wife and his daughter, and the fact that Gus Walz, this 17-year-old amazing kid, who has special needs, he was brought to tears and was so emotional seeing his dad, accomplish so many things, but then this ultimate goal of like being the vice president of the United States, heading toward that direction. And I just feel like it just felt more like a family unit. Mm-hmm. And then even too, Kamala Harris's great niece is coming out and teaching everybody how to say, her name correctly was really just a beautiful moment. And I'm like, where the hell is Barron? Where's Barron?
I heard Barron's really funny.
We would like to see that.
I would love to see an interview.
Which I'm like, bring the family back.
I think he's got some. Hey, listen, that kid growing up in that family, he's got to have good stories, good content.
But you know what was so funny? They did a comparison of Tim Walz, and Tim Walz was talking about his kids and talking about Hope and Gus. I love you guys. You guys are my life. Talking to his wife as well too. Then they switched over to JD Vance doing an interview where he was on the phone with Donald Trump, and then his son was trying to show him about Pikachu, and he was like, "Son, shut the hell up about this goddamn Pikachu." And I'm like, you look like that's how you literally talk to your son every single fucking day. So it's just, oh my God.
I mean, they know what angle they're playing, and they're doing a good fucking job doing it.
Unfortunately.
I fell right. I was like, look at this. It was so inclusive and heartwarming and exciting, and it felt like this.
Fortunately,
it was like this fresh. It just feels like this fresh turn in politics.
It literally felt like they were trying to unify America, and again, it
trying to rock the vote.
But it just brought me back to the days of, again, like the John McCain versus Barack Obama. Like, both sides can disagree but still be respectful at the end of the day. They both are family people, family candidates.
You brought back that memory of that lady being like, "Oh, he was not from this country." And him snatching that fucking.
And McCain was like, "No, bitch, we ain't about to do that shit. We not about to be divisive. Like, we ain't even here for that. Absolutely not. That man, he is an American citizen. He's a family man, and we both have this. We both want the same things. We're just going about it two different ways, and that's again putting the maturity and the American people first." Also, too, one of the other things that I did see in the DNC that really moved me was Joe Biden. Like, I know that, we've talked shit on this podcast about Joe Biden multiple times. Get your old ass out of here. I get it. And we meant it. However,
I stand by that.
I stand by what I said. I said what I said. But it was just beautiful just to see his transition, because you can tell from what I could see, you could really tell that he wanted that second term so bad, but realizing that he is, by staying in the race, he was doing a disservice, not to just himself, but to the American people at large, and for him to get out of the way. And I think listening to whomever advised him or counseled him to say, hey, even if it was a strategy all along, it doesn't matter. Like when his daughter introduced him and she spoke highly of him, I think, again, it went back to the fact that you've been in politics most of your adult life. Mm-hmm. And to now, it's just like, we look at football players and we have grace for football players and professional athletes and basketball players who have played in these leagues for 20 plus years, but then you don't give grace to, Joe Biden being on this team. Now, obviously, basketball players and football players don't control the free world, but I'm just saying, it was just beautiful to be able to see him. Even he was emotional, like, wow, like this is finally coming to an end. And at least he was able to leave somewhat on his terms. You know what I mean?
That's so nice that you think that, because I 100% think they sat him down and they were like, if you do not step down, we're not covering for your shit anymore. And this whole world is going to see how bad it's about to get.
Oh, I absolutely agree they did that. But
and
again,
that was the tears, because he was like, y'all fucking took this shit from me.
Yeah, but he had to be able to he had to be able to stand in it and say, you're right, and I have no choice. Whatever angle they wanted to do it as, at least they're doing it graciously, because they didn't have to do it graciously.
I would just love to be in the rooms with these conversations, because I would love to know who told him that, who finally was like, listen.
Kamala.
Yeah, I'd like to think so, but I don't think so.
She probably was like, Joe, okay, it's time.
We've all talked.
We did it, Joe, but
you will have a fucking glitch McConnell moment.
It was probably Jill.
Yeah,
I can guarantee it was probably Jill, because she's a professor. She knows how to talk to people and give the hard-hitting facts about stuff, but also in a very gentle way,
Also, if I was Hillary Clinton, I would be so fucking salty standing up there.
I would too.
I would just be like, with my smile, like, fuck this, fuck y'all. We all had this chance and everyone blew it.
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. If I was Hillary, I would have burned everything down to the ground.
I would have not been up there. I would have gone, because I didn't want to get flamed, and I would have smiled my happy ass from the stands. Yeah. Also, Bill Clinton, no one loves a fucking camera like Bill Clinton.
He's just a nice looking white man.
Yes, he lights.
Looking white man.
He just was born to be fucking famous.
He's got the riz. All he was missing was a saxophone.
I saw him and I was like, he just lit up like a Christmas tree?
Yeah.
Has not aged.
That man just don't give a fuck no more. I love it. The way he talks, he don't give a fuck.
Not a singular
He's
one.
like, listen, I was in office for 8 years. Fuck all this shit. You know?
I mean, he's most famous for getting head from some lady that wasn't his wife, and no one even gives a shit anymore.
He deserved to get head from somebody that's not his
Presidential
wife. Okay?
head.
Like, have you seen the pictures of how people age? Now, Obama better not have did that, but I'm just saying, because he has standards. But Bill Clinton, that man was dealing with a lot. Okay?
He was looking into your soul, every picture.
He's just a beautiful man. Beautiful man. His heart's not doing, he's had a couple of heart procedures, but at the same time, it's stressful being the president.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah. So I've heard. It's probably not. But I think people too, one of the other things is that I've heard a lot of seen a lot of discourse online, Twitter, and between Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok about
those are the ones.
People saying, very misinformed, ignorant things, right? And I think it's okay to say ignorant things sometimes, but when you know better, come back and redact your statement. So, because we've had to do that multiple times on this podcast. However, people saying stuff like, Kamala hasn't done anything as the vice president. And again, I want to go back to maybe 6th grade, history. Let's go back to that. Like U.S. history. I think y'all forget that Kamala is just the vice president. She's not the president. Also, too, the president of the United States doesn't just put things in motion unless it is an executive order. And I've heard some people say, even like younger black men, like, early, like late teens, early 20s, are saying stuff like, well, I'm voting for Trump because he gave us stimulus checks. Here's what I want y'all to understand.
Also, what a weird hill to die on.
That's the only thing that you like, the fact that he gonna give you stimulus checks.
What a weird.
And if you've been waiting on $1,200 for the last 4 years, you got a bigger banking issue than we can address on this podcast. However, I just personally feel like people need to understand how Congress works. Okay, the president doesn't make decisions without Congress unless it is an executive order, right?
Like war.
Exactly, just like bypass you motherfuckers, and he can't do it on certain things, or they'll take him to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court shuts that shit down, right? But I just feel like when it came to bailouts and the economy and giving of stimulus checks, I really want y'all to go back and understand why you were giving a stimulus check. It wasn't because Trump wanted to give you money. It was because stimulus checks were a part of
the economy was about to fucking crash.
But it was a part of a bipartisan bill. Bipartisan means both motherfucking sides came together and said, yes, the American people should be getting certain checks and whatnot. And guess what Trump did? He signed it. Okay, let's not forget, maybe you all were too young and maybe y'all weren't working and didn't get this check. But Obama also did the same thing during the bailout from 2008? When the economy was still shit from Bush,
time.
Okay?
That was a fucked up time.
And he bailed out banks, he bailed out the aviation department and all that kind of, he bailed out everybody. Here's the thing, but also too, it was a bipartisan bill. He did not sign an executive order to give stimulus checks.
Because we're all fucked at this point.
Congress had to put a bill together, okay? They dumped all of this shit in there, which included stimulus checks for the American people who fell under a certain category of salary. That's why you got the money. Trump didn't just come and say, go give Tyrone $1,200. That's not what happened. And I really want y'all to understand that Congress is a real thing and has sometimes more power than the president of the United States. They are the ones making decisions. They are the ones passing laws. Like, I think we need to go back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We need to go back to Schoolhouse Rock because PBS, I need you to come on back. Because y'all kids have no clue what's going on.
Where are the educational television programs?
PBS, I'm looking right at you, PBS. Bring back Schoolhouse Rock. Because they literally taught you what a bill is, how a bill gets passed. Because
junction.
What's your function? Connecting sentences and or but. That's what I'm saying. I think we need to go back to this because y'all making comments that are real ignorant.
Coco Melon and fucking Bluey.
Girl.
Ain't teaching you nothing about the Constitution.
TikTok is killing your brains.
Okay, also, not that I'm not smart, but just double checking for everyone out there, because you should always ask questions, because if you have it, someone else does too, and that's what I'm doing.
Exactly.
The vice president has the fluff jobs, right?
Yes, they go and make the gardens.
They're
and
always
kiss the
doing
kids.
speeches and appearances and shit, right? What are their actual job functions besides being head honcho if the president dies?
Let me tell you something. The reason why people fell in love with Joe Biden was not because he was the vice president. It's because he was running around, going on a bike and eating ice cream on camera. And wearing aviator sunglasses. That's why you fell in love with Joe Biden.
He was just chilling.
Now we know
what was oh my God, the video with Obama and Joe Biden.
Were you telling him to hang up on somebody?
No, it was like it was like a spoof, and they put their voices together, and it was a song that was really
but they was trying to get, he was because he was getting ready to get out of the office or whatever. He was like, "Calm down, Joe." Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know you're talking about. I can't remember the song, but I know what you're talking about.
Want Joe Biden, need you can have whatever you like.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
I want Joe Biden. I need Joe Biden. Yeah.
Oh, man, what a time.
Yeah.
The internet was a different place back then.
It really was. But yes, the vice president doesn't have any control. They can't just change the, I just feel like she ain't did nothing for black people. You're absolutely right. You know why? As vice president? Because she can't, bitch. What the fuck? Like, look at her track record. Again, everybody has the right to say ignorant shit, but once you are aware, you now come back to retract a lot of the ignorant shit that you said.
President of the Senate. That's the job of the vice president.
Of the Senate? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which still you ain't doing shit.
Still ain't really shit. They're kissing babies, shaking hands.
You're just you're trying to make sure that decorum stays at an all-time high. That's it.
Yeah. And people want the president, but the president's fucking busy, so they need someone there that they can feel that is respectable and has some sort of something.
It's like Miss USA and the runner-up.
There you go.
I mean, can we not, like...
Did we ever figure out why all of them stepped down?
What?
All the Miss Universe, Miss USA people?
No, I don't think we ever knew that.
They stepped down. A bunch of them stepped down. It's the first time it's ever happened.
Maybe was it some sexual abuse or sexual assault
allegations? I don't know if it was like racism or sexual assault.
Probably. It's probably a combination. Probably a combination of both. But yeah, so I really need y'all to understand, because I know our listeners, y'all are very responsible and y'all vote, we know. But again, please, there's a lot of local elections that are going on. I think Florida just had a local election. I think Georgia also just had a local election. So y'all please make sure that y'all pay attention to your local elections in your particular cities and states, because there are other things on the ballot. Okay, I want to say this very, very, very clearly. There was just a ruling that came out with regard to the Breonna Taylor case. We all know Breonna Taylor was wrongfully murdered by the police department in Kentucky, and her boyfriend was also involved in that. And they said that she was, they lied and said that she was selling drugs. They had a no-knock warrant into this girl's house, guns a-blazing, and shot and killed her while she was in her sleep. Anyway, and her mother and many other civil rights activists have been fighting for justice for Breonna. And unfortunately, one of the judges actually just ruled that one of the cops was not responsible for her death, that her boyfriend was responsible for her death, which is bullshit, because he was protecting himself and defending his home. But anyway, and again, this judge was appointed by, guess who? Ronald fucking Reagan.
Ronald Reagan?
Exactly.
The movie star?
Okay. I'm about to be so done with you. I'm quitting this podcast. We're done. It's the last episode. Goodbye. Good night. No, the Ronald Reagan, the president.
Oh, that one.
And this is why I'm saying, yet again, there are other things on your ballots besides the presidency of the United States. As important as the presidency is, all of these Senate seats, these, congressional seats that are out, these House seats, your judges, your clerk of court, your sheriffs, when certain situations like this happen where people are wrongfully murdered and wrongfully killed and whatnot, and police officers need to be held accountable, or just, state officials need to be held accountable, the people who y'all are putting on these benches matter. And they are a part of the election process. So when you say, well, I don't vote because I don't think my vote counts. Bitch, it's not just for the fucking presidency. It's for all this other shit that involves your local elections. Stop being stupid. God damn. That just irritates me. Anyway, I'm going to just...
For those of you that were wondering, Miss USA and Miss Teen USA both stepped down voluntarily from their positions this year. First time it's ever happened because of the toxic work environment.
Was it because the young lady committed suicide?
That happened I remember that happening.
What was she, USA or America?
I thought she was... I don't remember. I'd have to look. But this girl said that it was a toxic work environment. It badly affected her physical and mental health. She had heart palpitations, full body shakes, loss of appetite, unintentional weight loss, loss of sleep, loss of hair, and that she was being silenced.
Were you silent or were you
silenced? She said in caps, I was silenced.
Wow.
My personal values no longer fully align with the direction of the organization.
Sound like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders over there, allegedly.
Can't tell you why. A lot. Why?
Because she's probably signed an NDA.
Signed an NDA.
Absolutely. Ironclad.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's crazy. Toxic work? What the fuck? It's a pageant. It's not a pageant. It's a scholarship.
So that's what.
Remember that movie?
It's a scholarship program. Miss Congeniality.
Miss Congeniality. Best movie ever.
My thing is like, do they call them beauty pageants? What do they call that? Pageant circuitry.
I don't know what the problem is.
Okay, that realm is inherently toxic, right? And allegedly, but you grow up in that and you know that and you're used to it. So I feel like for her to come out and say like, no, this shit's really fucking bad. It has to be really fucking bad, right?
And especially if she stepped down.
Yeah, never happened voluntarily in the whole.
Wow.
Yeah,
and the fact that both of them,
yeah.
World peace. What's your favorite date? I would have to say April 2nd.
Because it's not too hot and not too cold. All you need is a light jacket. That is a great movie.
Oh my God.
Did you watch the guy in that movie, Benjamin Bratt?
Yeah.
He's in a new movie on Netflix with
5, 6, 7, 8. Didn't work that time.
Who is the one from what is her name? Brooke Shields.
Okay.
He's in a movie on Netflix with Brooke Shields.
Okay.
He looks so good.
He doesn't really age though.
He is beautiful.
He's like Mario Lopez.
I was telling Miranda, we were at work, and I was like, "Hey, you got to watch this movie that just came out."
Yeah,
Benjamin Bratt's in it. He looks great.
Because even on Star, he looked beautiful on Star.
Yeah,
he actually looked sexier with the gray.
Like, I don't know. Text me the next night. She's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm watching it." He's 60.
That's it?
Yeah.
Damn, he started young. I guess I just always like, because we've seen him forever. So in my brain, he's like super old, but just looks really good.
Yeah, and he like is shirtless a lot in this movie. I'm like, oh, he's got a little body.
He was sexy though in Star, because with the gray hair and stuff, he looked really good.
What was his name in Star?
Why would you ask me that?
Oh,
not Vin. It was something Hispanic.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. His name was. What the fuck? I cannot leave until we know what this is.
I can't remember his name in Star.
Okay, give me a second. Cast Star.
Javi? No, not Javier. It was something Hispanic.
It was something Hispanic for sure. Yeah. Jahil, which is not
but Riviera.
Yeah.
They called him something. Did they call him Ja?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
They called him like, I don't know.
Heel? Was it Heel? Or so? They called him something, but anyway.
What a cast.
Yeah, it was amazing. They're coming out with a movie on that.
I cannot wait.
Please come out with a movie on that, Lee Daniels. Anyway, what were you telling me about baby food?
It's horrible. Don't feed your babies food at all.
Okay, so starve the babies. Okay.
A study came out that said like 60% of baby food is not great. It's bad. It doesn't go with dietary guidelines. And it's full of fucking sugar, like way more than the recommended daily amount. And
it's probably all the preservatives they put in it for the shelf life, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, but I'm like, so what are you supposed to do? Make your own baby food?
Yes, that's how they did it back in the day.
It says nearly 2/3 of supermarket baby food is unhealthy. 2/3, that's the market.
Here's the thing. Baby food is really not difficult to make.
It's just pureed food.
Just puree the fuck out of it. They make
Who's got time?
You can make time. If you can meal prep as an adult, you can meal prep for your baby.
1 in 5 baby.
Now, I say that without children right now.
Or toddler foods contain salt levels above suggested limits. Jesus. They're just putting a bunch of shit in this food.
That's why these babies so fat.
Ooh.
And be suffering with diabetes so early on.
Truly.
Yeah, we need to get back to making. My grandmother used to make like our own baby food and stuff like that.
Are you supposed to eat?
My mom did too, to a degree.
But I feel like I need to talk to a speech therapist maybe.
What?
Like, do they need to have pureed foods that long? Like, Aren't they supposed to be eating food?
No, I think once what I believe to be true is that once a child starts teething, you're supposed to start giving them stuff. Because I remember even as like little babies, you give them like a chicken, like a huge chicken bone, so they're not gonna choke on it.
Because they're supposed to have like different textures, and you're supposed to introduce a bunch of different foods. Stop eating your kids' baby food. Go buy some real food.
Yeah, but also too, puree it if you can, because everybody's not able to. I'm very aware of that. Everybody's not able to, but if you can,
you know what ruins pureed food for me?
The modified
hospital pureed food.
Yeah,
there is not
mechanical soft foods. It's disgusting.
If I could zoom in, I would zoom in right now to my face.
Yeah,
there is nothing more disgusting than telling your patient, "Oh, you want to eat your lunch? Your tray just came. Let me set it up for you." Taking the lid off. And it is a full meal. When I'm talking protein, starch, vegetables,
it's like meatloaf, but it's not meatloaf.
Completely blended and pureed, but sitting in little separate sections.
It looks like Play-Doh.
It looks like Play-Doh. My God. I'm like, oh, here's your freaking chicken pot pie.
And you're like, do you want to eat? The patient's like, no, fuck no, I don't want that shit.
Would you eat that shit? I'm like, I wouldn't eat this shit.
And it stinks too. Or do you like, oh, you want water? We have to thicken it up. Like you're drinking fucking syrup.
Thick ass water on the side.
And then their mouth is always crusty because you're like, I know you're like, Jesus. Ooh. That's why I could never be a speech therapist. I couldn't be a speech therapist. It's horrible.
Dude, one time at
band camp,
one hospital I worked at, the patient had dementia.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if they were nonverbal or they were also delirious, whatever. And so the speech therapist went in there, saw the tray sitting there and started feeding them. And the patient wasn't really eating. They were having difficulty swallowing, all this shit. The speech therapist comes out, and while she's walking out, she sees a tray sitting there. And she's like, why is there just a tray sitting there? No one had taken out the dinner tray from the day before. It was now lunchtime.
Oh my God.
She accidentally fed them the tray from the night before because no one had been in that room and no one switched the trays.
Jesus. This is why you need to come to the hospital with your family members. That's all I'm saying. If you can.
I've never seen someone so like upset about that. And I was like, I would have made the same. That's crazy. Every time I assume, unless it's like breakfast and lunch, those are easy. But if I see a tray, I'm assuming it's recent.
I just feel like the people who do, like the people from dietary should not be allowed to sit like food on the counter outside the patient room. It needs to go inside the patient room. And I get it, they do it for different reasons. I'm very aware of that. But it gets lost because you mentioned it to the nurse. And again, just like I forgot the cranberry juice, nurses are going to forget. They're humans. But if you put it in the room, they're going to go in the room and give meds and make sure that the patient's clean. Therapy. Somebody's going to see it when it's in the room. But when it's on top of that the nurse's station, nobody's going to see that shit. I hate when they fucking do that, but I get it. I understand that they do it for a reason.
That and when they put the food next to the patient who can't feed themselves.
Or they put it on the tray table far away from the patient. I'm like, can you just scoot it? But anyway, neither here nor there. What were we talking about Hailey Bieber?
She had her baby. Oh.
What the fuck? You can't stop
I know.
It once it gets
It's
started.
just gonna... Yay!
Why do we care about her?
It's a Bieber baby. That's why I'm excited. I do.
Hashtag I'm for Selena Gomez. How about that? Thank you.
She's happy. She's living her life. Leave her alone. I'm just excited for a Bieber baby. Not even a Hailey Bieber baby. A Justin Bieber baby.
Is Justin excited about a Bieber baby?
He seems excited. They named it something normal, which is fun.
What did they name it?
Jack.
Okay.
You know, it could have been Leaflet.
Sentence.
Sentence. It could have been light bulb, but it's Jack.
Cool
They posted pictures of the feet. They look cute, healthy baby.
Why? Okay, here's one of my pet peeves. I should have probably put it in the rehab corner. If you're gonna hide your baby's face, just don't post your baby. I get it. There are some people who are obsessed with celebrity children, and even people who think they're celebrities who are have a little bit of a following on social media and they don't show your face. I want to tell you from the depths of my asshole, we really don't give a fuck what your baby looks like. We really don't.
Well, especially if you're not going to show us for real.
But also, too, babies look ugly when they are first born. Most babies. And when I say ugly, I don't mean ugly for real. What I mean is...
Not Gerber baby.
No, most babies are... They're going through a metamorphosis, okay?
They were soaking in water for 9 months.
Exactly. So most kids, they're going to look